Hey YouTube Nation, how you doing? I want to give you a little bit of a demonstration on defensive driving. And before I start out, I'd like to mention that I really think that everyone who spends any amount of time on the road, especially in a major urban center like Toronto, they should definitely get a dash cam. Now, I experimented with many cheap dash cams, and almost all of them below $100 just did not work consistently. They would stop, they would freeze, they would do all kinds of things, but they would not be consistent. So I decided I'm going to spend a few $100, a couple $100, and try something more reliable, hope for something more reliable. And I did so on the review of another trucker who's actually really interesting if you want to follow him, Sergey Drachev. I'll put a link to his channel in the description below. But he reviewed the MyView 358 and I ordered it. And if you're in Canada, you can get it from a Canadian distributor that I would recommend through Amazon. Has been very responsive, so I would recommend that you won't have a problem if you deal with the Canadian distributor if you buy it through Amazon and if you live in Canada. So the MyView 358, although I would recommend I believe it's the 360 that has GPS, so it will indicate on the video where exactly you are on a map. So that's my next purchase. So every now and then the video camera does come in handy for those tough situations on the road. So I'm going to play this video and I'm going to stop and start it, and then I'll replay it from the beginning so you can see what I'm talking about. But in Toronto, you need to be a very defensive driver because there's a lot of congestion and there's not a lot of expansion of roads. So you really have to be paying attention. So here we go. Let's get on the highway now. Let's get on the on-ramp. So we're getting on the on-ramp of a major highway near the Toronto airport. A little background music there. So here we go. We're getting on the highway. Now when you get on a highway in Toronto, you should try and get up to the highway speed. If it's sort of outside rush hour, chances are the traffic will be moving around the highway speed, which on this case is 100 kilometers an hour. So let's get on the highway. So now we're going to merge onto the highway. Indicate. Alright, now, some of the more dangerous points on a highway are where there's a turnoff, like right here. Okay, so anytime you come up to a major turnoff, and especially a major turnoff that has multiple options to it, you can tell a turnoff with multiple options because the highway sign is usually quite complicated. Now this is an Ontario highway road sign. It's fairly complicated, and it was complicated even further a few years back when they decided to add French to it because it's Ontario's other official language, even though very few people in the Toronto area speak French compared to the many other international languages that are spoken, especially around the airport. But anyway, what that does do is clutter up the sign. So it's very hard for the average driver to read the sign and make a decision. And it's further complicated because they don't use words anymore. This is an international sign, thanks to the UN. They just use symbolism. So this is actually more difficult to understand than a sign that would say 3 right lanes exit. So you actually have to sort of look at this sign here and see what lane you're in, see how many lanes there are. So this internationalism, this UN, this globalization of everything actually has a lot of negative impacts. I know in the United States they usually say 2 or 3 lanes must exit, and it's just a little easier to understand, in my opinion, especially when you're going at 100 kilometers an hour. There's not a lot of time to make a decision. So anyway, when I approach this major intersection here, this major turnoff, it's the turnoff for the Toronto airport. So I know that coming north or south on this major highway around the Toronto airport, there are always passengers coming in, driving themselves in or driving their relatives in, and there's always collisions around these exits because of the cluttered sign. It's not completely, perfectly clear that this is the airport cutoff. So I'm always on the lookout for people that turn off at the last minute. So here we go. We're going to roll the tape a little more and see what happens. Now, as I approach, I'm going the highway speed, and already I see problems with this car here. I see he's slowing down. He's losing his speed. Now, I don't like to pass on the right, but this happens all the time where people slow down in the middle lane instead of getting over into the right lane, although it's not really clear which one is the right lane if you're going straight through. In this case, this is the right lane if you're going straight through. And here's one of these indicator signs that instead of saying 2 lanes must exit to the right, we have these indicator signs here, which is way over here. It's a little hard to see, a little hard to understand for the average person. So I'm already suspicious of this vehicle here. So as a defensive driver, you look for your outs. And the other thing I always do in Toronto is I put my hand on the horn, because I don't want to be searching for the horn or moving around for the horn or wasting time moving my hand to the horn. I want it on the horn because I want to warn somebody if a problem begins to occur. So here we go. I'm keeping my eye on this guy here. And what you can't see is, because of his darkened windows, I see there's multiple people in this car. So as a defensive driver, I say, well, most cars in Toronto have only 1 or 2 occupants. So when I see a car that's full, that's a good indicator that he's probably going to the airport. So now we're coming up to the exit on the right. So now at this point, we have the solid line for this exit. So he's over here, I'm over here, I'm accelerating, or I'm going the right speed, he's slowing down. So at this point, I've decided, well, if he's going to make his move, he's going to make it any second now. And right now, there's no indication other than he's slowing down a little bit that he is going to take this exit. So I'm starting to decide that he's probably going to keep going straight at this point. And now there's another sign here to indicate this way, that way. So he has another chance at making a decision. And in my opinion, this sign is almost a little too late. So right here, we're completely by the exit, so to me there's almost no chance he's going to come over. There's almost no chance. Because he's got to cut me off, he's got 2 solid lines now, so I've almost decided that he is going to go straight. And as you see, he decided to cut me off, and I laid on the horn. I laid on the horn big time. Because, what are my options? Well, if I ditch to the right, I have this garbage truck who is probably 140,000 pounds. So I am no match for him. I would die for sure if I tried to get over, hit the brakes. I would probably skid into the back of him. The only alternative would be do what I just did, blow my horn if I wanted to slow down. Well, no point in going to the left because he's there and he's trying to slow down because he wants to get off. So it's a dangerous situation. Very dangerous, but your only alternative is to blow the horn, which is what I did. And then I carried on, and then there are other problems, as you can see on the highway on the left, that I was worried about, that one should be very careful about. There was a major collision right over here, so there's lots of emergency vehicles, lots of flashing lights. So then you got to start looking around at all these people ahead of you, because you know they're going to be looking over here, and once they take their mind off the road, they're going to slow down. So all these people's speeds will become variable. And as you can see, this guy ahead of me is going quite slowly. So I get over, but you have to be very, very aware and very, very careful of what's going on, even if the other side is the slow part, because people are rubbernecking, people are looking. So let's roll that again and have another quick look at it. Here we go. Back on the highway. Now you'll see how this guy, see how he's going fairly slow, and watch he'll start to drift over to the line, an indicator that he is lost. Here he comes. There's the horn. Straighten him out. Now I stay on the horn for good reason, because I don't want him to think that maybe that's a horn saying come on in. No, that's a horn. I'm coming through. Stay out of my lane. Get out of the way. So once more, wanted to indicate to you the absolute importance of a dash cam. They're, I think, mandatory in Russia, because if you look on YouTube, most of the dash cam videos are from Russia. I don't think anything should be mandatory, but I would say it's absolutely necessary for covering your butt. And for a couple $100, they are cheap insurance, and it will probably save you many questions if you are ever involved in the collision. So once more, I'm going to sign off here, and thank you for watching. Be defensive, be alert, stay off your phone, stay off any distractions, because you need all your wits about you to safely navigate the roads, especially the congested roads of Toronto. Thanks for listening. Actually, one more thing. I wanted to show you the link. I'm going to place the link below to the dash cam, the MyView 358. I'll show it to you now. The Mio dash cam, the one that I was recommending, is the Mio MyView 388. It's already down to $228. I'd highly recommend it. It was a lot more when I bought it. Highly recommend this dash camera. It works, and great customer service from this guy here. So if you're in Canada, order it here, and I'll put a link below. Once more, thank you for watching.